Coming up on Jerusalem Dateline, Iran gets hit hard as solid missile fuel explodes in their largest port. Plus, standing with their brothers, American and Israeli vets connect and support each other through post-traumatic stress. And sorry, not sorry, the BBC issues a stream of so-called apologies for slanted coverage of Israel and Hamas, giving ample fodder for Israeli comedians to take aim. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. This past weekend, a massive explosion rocked an Iranian port, killing dozens and wounding hundreds. The port is a hub for shipping weapons to Iranian proxies to attack Israel. The explosion happened as the U.S. and Iran continue their negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Here's the latest on that and other stories.
Israel made no comment on the massive explosion and fire Saturday at Iran's biggest port outside Bandar Abbas. The explosion, which killed at least 40 people and injured more than 800, was reportedly caused by an ingredient in solid missile fuel shipped from China. An expert on Iran said the port is used to launch illegal oil shipments. Benny Sabti at the Institute for National Security Studies said this location and this port were extremely critical to the survival of the Iranian regime. Iranian lawmakers allege Israel or other foreign sources were behind the attack, but Jonathan Conricus of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy said it's not clear what happened.
I think it's an unfolding story where each hour that goes by we will learn more about illicit trade between China and Iran, about how the Revolutionary Guard in Iran stores weapons and weapons material, and how they are, despite their dire economic situation, trying to build missiles and trying to produce weapons that they aim to use against Israel and the U.S.
The extensive damage is a severe blow to the Iranian regime and a hard hit to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, which uses the port to send weapons to proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis. The explosion taking place as the U.S. and Iran are engaged in negotiations over its nuclear program. At the third round of talks in Oman, intended to stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, both the Iranian regime and Trump administration report progress.
I can say that this round of negotiations was much more serious than previous ones.
We've had a lot of talks with them, and I think we're going to have a deal. I'd much rather have a deal than the other alternative.
Yet huge divisions still divide the negotiators. The Iranians insist they won't stop enriching uranium. The regime produces enough enriched uranium to fuel one nuclear bomb every month, and they refuse to talk about ballistic missiles, which could deliver Iranian nukes anywhere in the world.
The real deal that works is a deal which removes Iran's capacity to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons.
Speaking at the JNS International Policy Summit, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the deal would need to address a number of issues.
Once they have the weapons of delivery, ballistic missiles, ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, they will threaten every city in the United States. The way to prevent it is to dismantle all the infrastructure of Iran's nuclear program. That is a deal we could live with.
On Sunday, an Israeli airstrike blew up a building in Beirut. Israel said it's part of an infrastructure that houses precision missiles for Hezbollah. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says any deal must deny Iran a path to a nuclear weapon.
A bad deal is worse than no deal. We need a good deal.
At the JNS International Policy Summit, Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer noted President Trump pulled out of the previous nuclear deal with Iran signed by President Obama called the JCPOA.
And I have a lot of confidence that President Trump would walk away from a bad deal today, just as he walked away from a bad deal then. And I think he's been very clear. Iran's never going to have a nuclear weapon.
America's new ambassador to Israel told the conference Monday that if Iran doesn't abandon its quest for nuclear weapons, President Trump, quote, won't be dragged into a war, he'll lead it.
I think the president has been as clear as any political figure in history in saying that if they don't, there will be no holding back. And those are his words, those are his policies.
Ambassador Huckabee also spoke of the evil Hamas committed on October 7th when it invaded Israel and brutalized, tortured, and slaughtered pregnant women, babies, the elderly, and the disabled.
Who does that? People who are evil, that's who. This is a vertical battle between heaven and hell, between good and evil. The United States of America and President Trump stands for good and not evil, and that's why he has made it very clear that Hamas has no future in Gaza or anywhere else on this earth.
Some still argue permanent peace in the Middle East can be achieved through the so-called two-state solution, carving a Palestinian state out of Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland of Israel.
The idea is folly, nothing more than folly. We just tried a Palestinian state in Gaza. You saw what that brought, right?
In Gaza, he insisted not only must Hamas go, but the Palestinian Authority can't take over.
Why replace one regime that is sworn to our destruction with another regime that is sworn to our destruction?
As for handing Judea and Samaria to the Palestinian Authority, Huckabee pointed out that God gave the Jews that land long, long ago.
Israel is a chosen place for a chosen people, for a chosen purpose. And I say that not because I'm Jewish, I say it because it's true. And I affirm that which has been the truth for 3,500 years. This is his land.
And he still guards it.
Because the only explanation for the creation and the survival and the victory of Israel is that God's hand is upon this land, and it always will be.
More than 6,000 Israeli soldiers have sustained physical injuries in the war against Hamas. Experts fear a second wave of damage will hit after the firing finally stops. That's why organizations are preparing to help soldiers deal with post-traumatic stress. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke has this report.
From sleepless nights to crippling flashbacks, Israeli soldiers return from combat with invisible wounds that are every bit as devastating as physical injuries. Many see post-traumatic stress as the next battlefront, and veteran-led organizations across Israel are mobilizing for what they call the wave after the war.
Everyone who takes their own life, everyone who is debilitated in their ability to engage with family and friends and society as a result of what they witnessed and what they experienced is an ongoing casualty of the war that Hamas began.
And so the fight continues, not against terrorists, but despair, a psychological war Israelis are no less determined to win.
We are honored and prepared to be a part of that healing process.
As executive director of American Friends of Israeli Navy SEALs, Robbie Brenner partners with Israel's Atalef Foundation to support these traumatized vets on three main fronts: one-on-one assistance for Navy SEALs and their families, communal activities like retreats and hikes, and an outreach program called Dateline, which pairs SEAL volunteers with those struggling from other military units, then gets them out on the water for therapeutic activities like surfing, sailing, and scuba diving.
These programs bring them out of their homes, reconnect them with individuals and broader society in a way that allows them to begin to address their post-traumatic stress and to move forward in their lives.
Former Israeli Navy SEAL Gal HaKohen takes part weekly in an extreme kayaking group.
I think that going out there on the kayak and having this sort of non-formal community where it's not something where I come and I need to start talking about the way my parents treated me in my childhood or the way my team did in this or that. It's more about fun. And it's about being active.
Still, he says bonds are inevitably created.
Some of the guys are a little bit older, a little bit younger. Everybody has their own story. There's really a great connection that is forming in this group.
Hacohen also found help in video production-based therapy, something he's now combined with his kayaking and hopes to offer others who are struggling.
I'm filming while I'm on the kayak, so it could be a way for me to get out in the water and be active and use the camera. Or if somebody is at home depressed and you say, well, you can walk and you can take pictures of your walk, take video of your walk.
Alongside the efforts of these two organizations, another network is helping IDF veterans transform their pain into purpose. Brothers for Life began in 2007 with a single soldier walking into a hospital room and saying to another, "I was in that bed, you will live again."
In that moment, it was so obvious to me that he could do something for these injured soldiers that no one else on the planet could do.
After witnessing that event, Rabbi Chaim Levine became a co-founder of Brothers for Life, which partners a newly injured soldier with a mentor who has survived and overcome the same injury.
This is the essence of Brothers for Life, is to not just help them get their life back, but to help them dream again and accomplish those dreams in ways that they never thought they could.
Since October 7th, Brothers for Life has deployed hundreds of mentors to hospitals across Israel.
We've had to basically garner all our resources and say, we need to focus right now on the severely injured and the moderately injured, and we're bringing them all into Brothers for Life. So we're going to triple in size. We've had 22,000 hospital visits since this war started.
While physical injuries have been severe, Levine says the emotional trauma is unprecedented.
Cruelty and the barbarism of the terrorists was worse than, honestly, it was worse than the Nazis. The soldiers who had to witness that, who tried to save these civilians, mothers, children, babies, that PTSD is like something we haven't seen before.
Snir Pilas suffered injuries during Israel's 2014 war in Gaza. He sees those physical wounds as minor compared to the invisible battle he continues to fight.
I was the commander and I felt so much guilt for sending them to the battle, guilt for asking them to join me for fighting.
After being connected to Brothers for Life, Pilas began to find healing by helping others.
Going into a commander bed in the hostel and tell him, dude, I know what you've been through. I was there. I felt the same thing about my soldiers.
For those living with post-traumatic stress, healing isn't a finish line, it's a lifelong battle. October 7th reopened old wounds when Pilas and thousands of other Israeli reservists once again answered the call to defend their homeland.
The only difference that in this war was that in my right pocket, my wife put the pacifier of my kid.
After returning home, he feels even more determined to help advance the mission of Brothers for Life.
I want to find more funding for these soldiers. I want to send them to the best doctors in the States or anywhere on the globe. I want them to deal with the PTSD.
Right now, Israel remains a country under an umbrella of trauma. One day, though, that physical battle will end, and people like these will be ready to fight for each mind and spirit affected, one connection at a time. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
One of Israel's ongoing battles isn't on land. It's in the world of information. Since October 7th, Hamas has massively gotten its messaging on major media outlets around the world. One of those is the BBC, which government officials now accuse of being a tool for jihadist propaganda. There's also a call for this once revered institution to face a criminal investigation. Here's the story. The BBC made headlines when it had to pull the controversial documentary Gaza, How to Survive a War Zone, from streaming platforms. The film follows the lives of 4 young people in Gaza following October 7th. The decision came after investigative journalist David Collier revealed the film's central figure, a 13-year-old boy, is not just any Palestinian child.
The narrator, the young boy that the BBC had used for the documentary, the star of their show, was actually the son of a senior Hamas minister, a terrorist, part of a terrorist group.
The BBC maintains its production company made payments to the boy's family. Still, Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell notes it's a move that could potentially violate UK anti-terror laws.
The BBC actually paid £400,000 pound to pay for Hamas Propaganda, where their crew actually followed 3 children with deep ties to Hamas.
Although the BBC has apologized about serious flaws in the documentary, Haskell still wants a full criminal investigation by British authorities.
Who did they pay? Did they pay the children? Or did they pay the parents? The parents are Hamas members, okay, officially. And so that means that the BBC paid money to Hamas. This is a criminal offense, as Hamas is prescribed as a terrorist organization at the UK.
The media watchdog Camera reports that BBC Arabic had to make 80 corrections in its coverage of the first 5 months of the Israel-Hamas war, including citing Hamas terrorists as the resistance.
The BBC said, oh, that was a mistake. 80 times is not a mistake. It's on purpose. So, this is a problem we challenge in the international media.
Collier adds that the BBC's audience reach gives it a global platform, including 38 million in the Arabic-speaking world.
When they produce something, you'll see automatically it goes viral. Because even if it's not through the BBC platforms, you'll see many other platforms reposting it or quoting it or using it to build their own articles.
We know how much this channel have really destroyed Israel's reputation when they published fake stories, propaganda, complete fabrications.
For Collier, this issue runs deeper than bias, leading to a manipulation of some in the Western press.
Every single thing that comes out of Gaza because radical Islamic jihadists want it to come out. Not on one single occasion over the last 18 months has a single one of those journalists broken a story about a hostage, or rockets, or tunnels.
He adds, media outlets sympathetic to the Palestinian cause have become tools for radical agendas.
What's taking place in Israel is it's a jihadist battle against the Jewish state. And that jihadist battle is piggybacking on the issue of Palestine to raise sympathy and consciousness throughout the West. We now have millions of people walking through the cities of the West, waving jihadist flags, calling for the destruction of the Jewish state. Now, the media should be reporting this for what it is, which is an ideological battle between West and jihad. That's what this is. But it's not. It's portraying these Palestine flag wavers sympathetically. It talks about them as peace groups.
Collier sees the worldwide rise of anti-Semitic violence being fueled by a media narrative that can be dangerously misleading.
This uptick in violence towards Jews across the world is coming from the media that has been feeding the narrative of genocide falsely for 18 months. This is a fight against a jihadist ideology that is coming for all of us.
Nothing affects public opinion or changes the cultural conversation like humor. As you saw in the last segment, the BBC has been a purveyor of pro-Hamas ideology since October 7th, to such a degree that Israeli comedians have stepped in with caricatures of the British reports. These comedians are taking no prisoners. And here are some clips from Israel's version of Saturday Night Live.
Good evening from London. Here are some news from the war in Gaza. Israel has bombed a hospital, killing hundreds of innocent people. More. Much better. With more details, our Middle East correspondent, Harry Whitegilt.
Good evening, Rachel, from the illegal colony of Tel Aviv. Israeli officials has denied bombing the hospital, but we have video footage showing what really happened indeed.
Absolutely shocking, Harry.
Yeah. We got this video from Hamas, the most credible not terrorist organization in the world.
This This is the BBC Live from Gaza, where everything is ready for the weekly red carpet ceremony. After 483 days, 3 Israeli hostages, prisoners, are about to be released. Oh. All right. We can see that maybe their time with Hamas has had some sort of an effect on the prisoners.
BBC, why you say prisoners? They are not prisoners!
Oh, I'm so sorry. So you actually prefer the word hostages?
No, they are clients!
Of course, clients. Of what exactly?
Of the Hamas Wellness Center, or as we call it, Slimtifada.
Slimtifada? Oh, is that like your Oriental answer to Ozempic?
Aywa عليك, exactly. But it's all natural and it shows results. Look at how our clients look before our treatment. When they got here, they looked like they've been through a disaster. Overweight, no energy, very unhappy. But look at them now, thin, calm. It's like they've lost 10 years.
In only 15 months. Good evening from London. 39 days after Hamas freedom fighters peacefully attacked Israel, we have now an exclusive interview with its leader, Yahya Sinwar.
Yes, good evening, Rachel. Let me just correct you. Oh. There were also freedom rapists and freedom butchers.
Of course, I apologize. Mr. Sinwar, I understand that you are now working towards a ceasefire.
Yes, Rachel, you know me. Wherever there is fire, I say, let's seize it. All we are saying is give ceasefire a chance.
The fire must be seized.
Yeah, the situation in Gaza is terrible, Rachel. All innocent civilians are running out of town, so we are left without protection.
With no human shield at all. So unfair.
So unfair. And our hospitals, Rachel, our schools, all run out of rockets. How are we supposed to kill Jews like this? With lectures?
Actually, we've tried that one. Didn't work.
I plead to the world. We need a ceasefire. We are tired. We need a break. Don't forget, we started a day earlier than the Israeli.
So unfair, so unfair. But I understand the Zionists refuse to put down the weapons.
Yes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? All we want is a little time to rearm before we continue to kill them, and they won't let us.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sinwar. I can't hear you. All this noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rachel. There is a baby here.
Could you please get him to be quiet?
Yeah, I wish I could. He's not mine, and his mother is in Israel. Never mind.
Well, there can be a lot of truth in comedy. Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on social media, and you can access CBN content through our CBN News and other CBN apps. And please don't forget to sign up for our email blasts so you can continue to receive information on breaking news. And please keep praying for Israel, for its protection during this very tenuous time, and for IDF soldiers, for those caught in harm's way, and for all the hostages to come home safely. I'm Chris Mitchell. For all of us at the Jerusalem Bureau, we'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.